driverless cars can handle just about any situation. This is I believe this is a Fiat, and they show the driverless car dealing with pedestrians. Somebody walks in front, they've got a sensor in front, and the pedestrian walks in front, so the car comes to a stop. Driverless cars, here's a Volkswagen test track in Germany where they have 3 driverless cars. This is kind of a long film, but one of them is passing another car, and the third car gets in the way, and see, this car is passing, but then this one pulls out to pass this one, so that one has to slow down, and then they all pass each other, and they're all driverless, and it all works. Volkswagen is so proud of its technology that it was really developed before 1997, but they now are going to have an Audi that's totally driverless, and this September they are going to race it at racing speeds from Colorado Springs to the top of Pikes Peak. But Europe is ahead of us. Here's a driverless, semi-driverless car technology that is going to be introduced in Europe very soon. It's funded by the European Union, and in this case you have a driver-operated lead vehicle that has a professional driver, like a truck driver or a bus driver or something, and then if you want to follow them, that vehicle, you just pull up behind it, and your car has to have some electronics in it, and it'll get the signal from that vehicle, and you'll drive down the road. You can go to sleep. The truck driver is doing the work, and you're just following. And when you want to get off, you just signal and decide to pull out, and then the other cars will form up behind. And that's good. That's kind of a in-between step that they're planning on doing in Europe. The real problem is not technical. The problem is what I call the chicken and egg problem, which is that I'm not going to buy a driverless car if there's no highway for me to drive it on. And CDOT's not going to build a highway that's driverless if there are no driverless cars to go on it. Well, we have this chicken and egg problem in other areas as well. For example, I took a look at my computer here and looked at all the ports, and I took a look at the computer I had 10 years ago, and not one of the ports from 10 years ago matches the ports today. And I have peripherals that used all these ports 10 years ago, and I have peripherals that use these ports today, but I didn't feel coerced or anything like that. The peripherals I have today are a lot better than the ones 10 years ago, so I'm happy to upgrade the computer and the peripherals. And the same thing is true with other technologies, with cell phones. The cell phone I had 10 years ago probably doesn't even work on today's cell phone networks. This cell phone certainly wouldn't work on the networks 10 years ago. But the cell phone manufacturers and the wireless companies, providers, get together, they write standards, they figure out how they're going to transition from one system to another. You know, on the cell phones they're calling it 3G, 4G, and so on, and they implement it. The problem is we have all these automobile manufacturers out there that are eager to innovate and get ahead of the other companies, but all of our highways are owned by the government, and they are not eager to innovate, and they're dominated by this anti-automobile mentality that you shouldn't even be driving, much less trying to find a way for you to get there faster with less congestion and less stress and in more safety. So we need to put pressure on CDOT and Caltrans and ODOT and all the other state highway departments to sit down with the automobile manufacturers and say, let's define a path to go from today, where all cars are driver operated, to 2030, when nearly all cars, virtually all cars, can be driverless. And how are we going to do that path? I can think of a lot of ways of doing it, and you might want to ask about it in the Q&A, but I imagine there'll be a period of time in which both driverless cars and driver-operated cars will operate in the same highways. And we might make some highways just pure driverless after a time, because the advantages are so much greater. You can get so much more throughput, so much more safety, faster. The cars can be lighter weight if there's not any danger of collision, and so they'll be much more energy efficient. The Obama administration wants America to build the most advanced 1930s technology transportation system the world has ever seen. I want to look to the future. I want to say we're for something. We're for new technology, not old. And I'm hoping that you will help us go to CDOT and other agencies like that and demand the driverless car that you were promised in 1939. Now, my book, Gridlock, is only a little bit about driverless cars. One chapter is about driverless cars. A lot of other chapters are about the Transportation Reauthorization Bill that Congress is going to be considering next year. I hope you'll take a look at the book. Its list price is $25. Amazon sells it for about $17, but if you buy it today, it's $15. I also have a blog called The Anti-Planner. Just Google Anti-Planner, and I'm the first thing on the list. And I talk about these issues almost every day: housing, transportation, land use planning, and so on. If you're really interested in these issues, I'd invite you to attend our national conference. It's called Preserving the American Dream, and the next conference is going to take place in Orlando on June 10 to 12. We bring transportation experts from all over the country to talk about where we're going and how we're going to get there and how we can overcome this anti-automobile mentality that has been promoted for so long. For more information, take a look at these websites. The Anti-Planner is at ti.org. .org has a lot of my papers that you can download for free. AmericanDreamCoalition.org has information about the Preserving the American Dream Conference. You can email me with any questions anytime. And if you give me your email address, I'll put you on the list for updates on what's going on about transportation in the next couple of years.